great scientist, which we think he probably belongs in. But that's a matter for the future. I want to end with one thing which is not directly pertinent to Reich, but which is tangential, which is the idea that we call somebody crazy and thereby indicate that whatever they did is valueless because it was done by a crazy person. There are many instances of people having serious emotional problems. You know, I can think in music that Schumann apparently was frankly psychotic at the end of his life. Mahler, Tchaikovsky, others went through very severe depressive episodes. But the fact is that's not important. Reich often said, I don't care what people think of me. The only thing that is important to me is what I do. And the fact that that various composers have had serious emotional problems has no meaning at all when one listens to their music. Isaac Newton, one of the great figures forever in science, was a firm believer in astrology. So what? He produced what he produced, and that's the important issue. I think that's about enough for the history. Any questions, discussions?
You were talking about
I'm a little hard of hearing. You have to speak loud.
You were talking about how Reich set up clinics in Europe, and they really caught on. They became very popular.
Can someone say?
Speak up because it's over here. You were talking about how Reich set up clinics in Europe.
Yeah.
And they became very popular.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we be able to do that now? Has the world changed, or is it just that you...
Well, that's kind of what we're trying to do here today. Any other discussion or question?
Dr. Herskowitz, the cloud buster, is anyone using that today?
Yeah.
In America?
Yeah, DeMayo, and there are people who work with DeMayo who are doing it, and there are others who are doing it. There are lots of people using the cloudbuster who should not be, because I haven't mentioned, but it's inevitable that there's a lunatic fringe in orgonomy. And those guys, without any training, without any expertise at all, do cloud busting on their own. So there's a lot of illegitimate cloud busting along with the legitimate cloud busting. Yeah?
I'm Dr. Rothenberg. Michael Rothenberg used to call those people orgonomaniacs.
Yeah. Right.
As you go on
Yeah.
some of the sites now, this is part of the thing. If you tell friends or if you yourself go on sites to see what is presented as part of orgonomy or Reich's work, you've got to be very, very careful in terms of what's presented and what's represented as, authentic representation of this work. And it's, it's an ongoing problem. And just quickly, you were right, the only instance of book burning in the United States officially sanctioned by the federal government was in New York on Gavin Pier. And the organist that I worked with, Dr. Sobey, was the one who was designated by Dr. Reich to attend the burning. The individuals who burnt the books, the agents who burnt the books, who knew nothing about it, were both soldiers from the Second World War and broke down in tears when they had to do this. And they said, I thought we had fought a war to stop this. And then, and Reich's response was to be supportive of them and to understand what kind of predicament they were having.
Yeah. By the way, all of the books have been republished and are available at the museum in Rangeley, Maine. A point about the accumulators. I got a couple of other interesting things to tell you about. Mildred Edie Brady and Dr. Wortham were both members of the American-Russian Friendship Society,